Okay, welcome back to our Motzei Shabbos Marathon. As I told you, a little bit challenging dafim tonight, which is, it's really nice that after we finished Purim and Shushan Purim, we could show Hashem, we meant what we said. Here it is, it's almost 11 o'clock, and we're sitting over 30 Zoomers together with the item here, and of course, the hundreds of people we have watching and listening online. We're putting our money where our mouth is and doing what we're supposed to do. So if you remember, Rava told Rav Papa to explain how the Brisa could fit, according to the opinion of Rav Meir, that in all these areas of a Zaken Mamre, there is a matter of chorus. So the next words in the pasuk were divrei, which we explained were elu ha'arachin v'acharomim v'akdeshes, which are arachin, which were the declaration that a person is giving his erchin, his Torah value, which depends on his age and on his gender. Charomim, bands, which is either to Bedek Habayis, temple maintenance, or to the Kahanim, V'ekdeshes and sanctifications. Ha'arachin, where would this be an issue? But plukta the Reb Meir v'Rabbanan. That depends on the Machloikis Reb Meir and the Rabbanan. The Tanya, Hamarich pochis meben chodesh. If let's say Michael says that he wants to give the value of a baby that's 25 days old. Now, the Torah does not give an arachin of anything under 30 days old. So, Rameir says that a person is not moitzi dvar of levatala. And therefore, since there's no arachin, what Michal meant is the value. Instead of Erki, he meant Dmei. So Rameir Aimer Nois and Dama. The Chachamim say no, a person sometimes is Moitzi Dvar L'Vatala. He said Erchin of 25, since there's no Erchin of 25, Lo Yama Klum. Then he says nothing. Now, over here, if you hold that he meant the value, then he has to give that value to Hekdesh. And if somebody uses it, they would be Chayiv Me'ila, and they would have to bring, they would be Chayiv Me'ila, if he brings it, then on that money there would be Me'ila. And he would have to dedicate an Asham. Right, and and if then somebody benefits from that money, there would be chayiv and ashim. Now, according to the other opinion, 25 under 25 days, it's nothing. So if somebody benefits from money, that money, it's not money that belongs to Hekdesh. So then he wouldn't bring an ashim. Now, if however he brings it, so if it is an ashim and he eats it when he's tamei, this kares. Remember we said if you eat kachim in tamei, it's kares. If he wasn't chayiv to bring it, then that carbon is not a carbon, and it wouldn't be kares. So there you have a complex way where it would be a nafkamina of whether this kares or not. Now, what about Charamim? Charamim, beplukta Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira Rabbanan. The non Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira Aimer stam Charamim lebedek habayis. That when Yisrael says that he's giving $1,000 chayrim, it means to bedek habayis, to temple maintenance. Shenema kol chayrim kodesh kadoshim ula Hashem. The Chacham say no. Stam chayrim means to give it to the Kahanim. Stam charam l'koyin. Now, again, here it would be the same nafkamina. If you hold that it has to be given to Bedek Habayis, so then it is kachim. If you benefit from it, you commit mila, you have to bring an ashim. And if somebody eats that asham while tamei, he would get karas. According to the other opinion, Yisrael has to give the money to Beit Kabayis, to Kahanim. The Kahanim, there's no meila. There's no chiyuv of an asham. And then if somebody ate it while tamei, there wouldn't be karas. Now, according to the opinion that stam charamim is l'kahanim, what does he do with the pasuk of kol cherim kodesh kadoshim ula Hashem? Im kein matam aloymer kodesh kadoshim ula Hashem. That's coming to tell me that if Rabbi Yisrael has a carbon that's kachem kachim or kachim kalim and says that it should be a cherim, he has to give its value to Beit Kabayis. Shechal al kachem kachim val kachim kalim. Now, where is there a chorus implication on hekdeshes? Hekdeshes, beplukta Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov Rabbanan. It is the machlokes Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov and Rabbanan, and that is when redeeming an item of hekdesh, do you need a panel of 10, one of them being a kayin, even for movables, even for, let's say, redeeming a spinning fork from hekdesh? The Tani Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov Omer afilu tzinura shel hekdesh, even redeeming a spinning fork of hekdesh, tzricha asara b'nei adam lifdaisa. You need 10 people to redeem it. So according to him, if you redeemed it with 9 people, the redemption is no good, so then the spinning fork is still hekdesh, and then if you use it as shava pruta, you would be me'ila, and you'd have to bring an ashim. And if you ate that ashim while you're tummy, it would be karas. According to the other opinion, it's redeemed, so there would be no ashim, and therefore if you eat it, there would be no karas. Rivais, quarrels, ze ashka saita, the giving to the drink of the adulterous woman, suspected adulterous woman, va'arifas ha'egla, the breaking of the heifer's neck, the taras ha'mitzayra, and the purification of a leper. So where is there an issue of karas by a saita? And if you're just joining us now, Shimon Deer, welcome. If you're just joining us now, we are at the first wide line of Daf Pei Ches Amud Aleph, which is certainly one of the most hardest dafim that we've had in quite a while. Shelley agrees. So the Gemara says, Hashka Soita, the giving to the drink of the suspected adulterous woman. Remember, everybody agrees that the husband has to warn her not to be with this man, not to be with Chaskel alone, in front of 2 witnesses. But once he warns her, does he also have to have 2 witnesses that she was alone in room 208? Or is it enough if he even says she was alone in room 208? So that's a machlokes. But look to the Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua. It's a machlokes between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua. The Tanan, hamakane leishtay, one that warns his wife. Rabbi Eliezer Aimer mekane al pi shnayim. The warning has to be given in front of 2 witnesses, but umashke, he could insist that she drinks al pi eid echad, even if there's only 1 witness that she was alone with the paramar in room 208, or al pi atzmai, or even by his claim. While Rabbi Yeshua says, mekane al pi shnayim, you have to give the warning with 2 witnesses, or mashka al pi shnayim, and you also have to give the drink on 2 witnesses. Now, if let's say it happened that she was warned with 2 witnesses and she was accused of being alone just by the husband, so they take her to drink because they say that she has to drink. If she says Eini Shaisa, I'm not drinking, she has that option, but she loses her ksuva. According to the other opinion, if she says, I'm not drinking and I'm out of here, she was not chayiv to drink because she's only chayiv if there's 2 witnesses are being closeted in, so she gets her ksuva. So here again we have a question of whether the money is hers or not. And that would have implications if that money, let's say she sold her ksuva to Michal Avram, right? So if she loses her ksuva, so then Michal Avram doesn't get anything. If she didn't lose her ksuva, then Michal Avram gets it. And then if he's Mekadosh a woman with that money, the Kedushin would be a good Kedushin. So here again, it would be an Afkamina Kedushin.
So what does all this have to do with the Zakin Mamre?
Because we want to show a case of where he's rebelling against a law that has chorus, according to a mayor who holds that there's only a Zakin Mamre by chorus.
Chorus consequences, right?
Okay, so he comes down on one side or the other of this
correct.
machlokes.
Of this machlokes.
His own din.
Right, correct.
So even that's considered a Zakin Mamre.
Right, right.
He has to get the majority.
Where there's a chorus ramification.
It's a very narrow definition of. I thought Zakin Mamre, he's going off on his own doing. But
he is. He's going against
he's within. He's taken the minority.
Right, but that's Mamre. He's rebelling against the decision of the court.
That's considered.
Now, Arifas Egla, 3 lines from the beginning of the wide lines. And as it's 11:08, I think we're going to hold off questions now. Arifas Egla, the breaking of the heifer's neck, but plukta the Rabbi Eliezer Rabbi Akiva. It's the machlokes Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva. The Tanan, very interesting question. Where do you measure from? Where do you measure from the city that the city that has to bring the heifer? So we take the body that was killed and we measure to the closest city. The question is, from what point of the corpse do we measure from? What point of the corpse do we measure from? Rabbi Eliezer Aimer mitiburo, from his belly. Rabbi Akiva Aimer mechaytmai. Rabbi Akiva says from his nose. Rabbi Eliezer Aimer miyako. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov Aimer mimokum shenasa chalol, from the place that he became a corpse, because it assumes that he was slit by the neck. They cut him in the neck. Mitzavarai, from his neck. So now, if let's say, according to one opinion, if you measure from the belly, the closest city was Shnipashak. If you measure from the neck, the closest city was Nevardik. Right? So now, when they take an animal, the heifer, to bring it, so that heifer becomes asabana. So if they brought it from the wrong city, so then that heifer is good. It's permitted. And if if somebody's mekadosh an isha with it, it would be a good kedushin. If, however, they measured it from the right part, so then that heifer is asabana. And if you're mekadosh an isha with it, she wouldn't be mekudeshes. So therefore, again, it has adultery ramifications. Tyrus HaMetzayra, the purification of the leper, that's beplukta the Reb Shimon v'Rabbanan. It's a machlokes Reb Shimon and Rabbanan. The Tanan, what do? We know that in the purification of the leper, we have to put blood and oil on the big right thumb and the big right toe and the right ear. What if he doesn't have one of those digits? Ein loy bayin yad bayin regel. If he doesn't have a right thumb, a right toe, big toe, oizin yamanas, a right ear. So the Tanakama says, Ein loy tara lamas, you can't purify him. Rebbe Eliezer, you put it at the place where it would be. It's not so strange, because there are people that have phantom pain. But you put it at the place where the toe would be. You put it on the left big toe, the left big ear, the left big thumb, or the left ear. So, of course, it makes an afkamina. If you hold that it's good, then he's tar, and if he enters in the mikdash, he's not chayiv kares. If you hold it, you can't give him tara, then he remains with the impurity of a mitzayra, and then if he enters into the mikdash, he gets kares. Bisharecha, in your gates, as we said, that the Torah says you give the gifts of matnas aniyim to the poor, zu leket shikru peya. These are the gleanings, the forgotten sheaf, and the corner of the field. Leket, did not, shnei shibolin leket, when the reaper reaps, when 2 blades fall, he has to leave for the poor. Shloisha, when 3 blades of wheat fall, ain't a leket. And that's one opinion. The other opinion is that the other opinion, let me just see what the other opinion is. And shikha is shloisha, it says shnei oimrim shikha. If you forgot 2 sheaves, it's shikha. Shloisha ain't shikha. 3 is not shikha. Now, val kulan, both by the leket and by the shikha, even 3 sheaves is considered forgotten that you have to leave to the poor, and even 3 blades are considered forgotten and you have to leave for the poor. 4 is to the balabais. So here, of course, it makes a difference, so that if you had a case, let's say, of where there were 3 on the ground, so according to the Rabbanan, those 3 that fell still belong to the homeowner. So if he was Mekadosh and Isha with it, it would be a good Kedushin. According to Shammai, it would belong to the Ani. So if he's Mekadosh and Isha with it, it would not be a good Kedushin because it belongs to the Ani. So again, it's an Afkamina which has repercussions of adultery. Peya. What about Peya? There's a big question of till what point are you chayiv to remove Peya? Beplukted Rabbi Yishmael v'Rabban. The Tanan mitzvahs Peya la'afresh min hakama. You're supposed to separate the corner of the field while the crops are standing. Lo yifresh min hakama. If you didn't separate the corner from standing grain, yafresh min ha'omarin. You have to separate that amount, whether it's 1/24 or whatever, from the sheaves, from the piles. Lo yifresh min ha'omarim, yafresh min hakri. You separate it from the pile ad sheloi merchu, until the pile is smooth. Mercha, once you smooth the pile, so it's chayiv and trumas and maisers. Ma'aser, you have to take first the tithes from the produce, and then and then give the poor the amount of the corner of the field. But that's only until it's baked. Mishum Rabbi Yishmael Amru, in the name of Rabbi Yishmael, af ma'afresh min ha'isa. You could separate the corner of the field even from the dough. So again, here you have a machlokes that has a chorus repercussions, and that is if you didn't separate it until the dough, according to the Rabbana, you're not chayiv to give pay anymore. And then if you mekadosh a person with it, it's a good kedushin. According to Rabbi Yishmael, you got to give it to the poor, and if you use it instead for kedushin, the kedushin would not be a good kedushin. Okay. Now we're ready to start the new sugya. That was a pretty intricate trip to explain Rab Meir according to Rava. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol niyeh b'dvaro.
Amen.
Now, Shloisha Batei Dinim, there are 3 courts. Now the question over here that the Gemara is going to now examine is when we say that a person is declared a Zakei Mamre, a rebellious sage, what's his claim? Is his claim that I got differently from my Rebbeim, from my tradition? Or is his claim that I think with my acuity, with my brain, that this should be the law? So, Amar Rav Kahana, who Aimer Bepi Hashmua, Vehem Aimer Bepi Hashmua, if he says this is the tradition that I got from my Rebbeim, and they say they had a different tradition, ain't an error, he's not executed. Who Aimer Kachu Be'enai, this is the way it seems to be to me, this is what my brain tells me. Vehem Aimer Kachu Be'enai, no, our brains tell us not this way, again ain't an error. Because he says, I have it from tradition, from my Rebbeim, this is what we think, this is what our scholarship teaches us, unless he says, this is what my brain tells me, and they say, no, this is the tradition, so he's arguing against the tradition, then he's executed. Teda, Shari lo yorgu es Akavi ben Malala. There were 4 laws that Akavi ben Malala disagreed with the court, and he wasn't executed. So it must be that Akavi ben Malala was saying Mepi Hashmua, from his tradition, from his Rebbeim, and that's why he wasn't executed. Rabbi Lazar says no. Rabbi Lazar, even if the Zaken Mamre says it was my tradition, that our scholarship tells us not this way, Nera. I said, then why wasn't the Kavi ben Malala executed? That there shouldn't be a great argument in Klal Yisrael. So then asks the Gemara, so why didn't they execute Akavi ben Malala? That's different. The reason they didn't execute Akavi ben Malala is because of the fact that he only argued theoretically, but he never passed in that way. And we said that as long as they don't take it to practical application, then and doesn't paskin practically to others, he's not executed. Tanan, the Gemara will resolve and bring proof to Rabbi Lazar. It's a challenging daf to learn these 2 blot in one sitting, and I applaud everybody for sitting through it. It's it says about Torah learning, lefum tsara agra. According to the difficulty is the reward. So this is a very rewarding way to start the new week. So Tanan, kach darashti v'kach dorshu chaveirai. So I expounded, so my colleagues expounded, kach limadati, so I taught v'kach limdu chaveirai. Now, doesn't that imply my labdu aimer mepi hashmua, that he's executed even if he says that I had it from tradition, v'heim aimim kachu beinenu, and they said that this is what our scholarship tells us? Says Gemara, that's not conclusive. Maybe it's where hu aimer kachu beinai, he says from his own brain, v'heim aimim mepi hashmua, maybe that's what the Mishnah is talking about. So that's no raya. But Tajma, the Amar Rebbe Yoshia, Shloisha Dvarim Sachli Zeirei, Ma'anshi Yerushalayim. 3 things were related to me by Zeirah in the name of the men of Yerushalayim. Baal Shem Mochal Al Kinuya, very interesting case. I'm wondering, I didn't think so. This case is not mentioned in the entire Masechta Saita. It's such a basic din in Saita. No, it is mentioned. It is. Messiah Sashas brings it down. It's in Daf Mem in Saita. Okay. I take it back. Baal shemochel al kinuyev. Let's say the husband gave her a warning, and then he says, you know what, I see it's not serious, I annul my warning. Baal shemochel al kinuyev machel. So that if she then closets herself up with him in the room, she's not a shaita. Ben Sarah Mayra Shiratza Aviv Ima Limchalai. If the Ben Sarah Mayra he steals, he eats the meat, he drinks the wine, he gets malchus, he does it again, but the parents want to forgive him. They don't want to take him to the court. Their forgiveness is a good forgiveness. He doesn't get executed. Zakein Mamre Shiratza Bezdin Limchalai Moichalai. A rebellious sage that Bezdin wants to forgive him, they could forgive him. And he doesn't get executed. However, when I came to my colleagues in the south, they agreed with the forgiveness of the husband for his warning and the forgiveness of the Ben Sarah Mayra, but why? So we see that the halacha is because of lo yarba machlokes b'Yisrael. So to Yufta, it's a refutation of the opinion that says that if he says mapia shvua and they say from scholarship they don't execute him, but rather that we execute him even in that case because of the reason that there shouldn't be machlokes b'Yisrael. Tanya, Amar Rabbi Yaisi, mitchila lo yaya marva machlokes b'Yisrael. Initially, there was no argument. There was the High Court in the Lishkas HaGazas, and two other Supreme Courts, one by the mouth of the Temple Mount, and one by the mouth of the Temple Courtyard. And Yisrael, and there were the small circuit Supreme Courts in all the cities of 23. You had a question, you asked your small circuit Supreme Court. If they heard, they said, they go to an adjacent city. If they heard a tradition, good. They went to the first at the court at the mouth of the Har Bayis. They came to the one by the mouth of the Hazar. So did I expound, so did I teach. If the one at the mouth of the Hazar heard, the group goes together to the chamber of cut stone. There they dwell. There they are always found from the morning tamid till the afternoon tamid. When they don't litigate, so in order to remember not to litigate, they move and they sit in the chil, which is a small area after the soirig, the lattice fence. They sat there, Nishla Sheila Bifneim. And then the tough question was asked to them, Im Shamay, if they have a tradition, Amalahem. Vim Lav, if not, they deliberate, and Aim Din Laminyan, and they vote. Rabu Hamatamim, if the majority say Tameh, Timu. Rabu Hamatarim, Taru. And that's how everything was decided. There wasn't Machlokes by Yisrael. However, Mishirabu Talmidei Shamei v'Hillel Shalei Shimtzu Kol Tzarchan. There were a lot of Talmidim that didn't take good notes, and they didn't have an accurate report from the Rebbeim. And then they had difference of opinions of what they heard. Rabu Machlokes b'Yisrael v'Nasa Torah Kishtei Torahs, and there was like two Torahs. Now, the Gemara tells us, this is now a new subject, Misham Kaisvin Visholchin B'Kol Mekaymes. From there they wrote and sent from the Sanhedrin Agadol, they wrote, Kol Mishu Chacham, whoever is wise, V'Shafal Beirach, and is humble, bends his knee, he's humble, V'Das Abrias Noichemenu, and is an agreeable person, Yehei dayan be'irai. He should be a judge in his city. Now, if somebody was extraordinary, Misham Ma'alanoi Seila Harabayis, he was elevated to the first court on the Temple Mount. If somebody was exemplary there, Misham Lazara, and finally a person was elevated when there was a vacancy, Misham Lulishkas Agazis. Sholchum Itam, they sent from there a Zel Ben Olam Haba, who is a person of the next world, who gets the afterlife. You see what a premium we put on humility. We're living in a world where people with arrogance get noticed. Anvasan, a person that's humble, v'shefel berich, and lowly at the knee, shayef oil, shayef v'nafik. He bends down to enter his house and bends down to leave the house. So it's very interesting that there's a pshat over here. It says 3 levels of humility over here. 3 levels. So the Artsco brings down over here from the Marsha that there's 3 areas. There's in the physical, there's one's wealth, and there's also his home. So the 3 levels are, Anvasan means he's in his physicality, he's humble. Shefel Berach is in his wealth. And bending down is that he doesn't even have a house with a really tall door. Vigaris Baraisa Tadira, and he always learns Torah. And he doesn't take credit for himself. Wow, that's a lot of conditions to be a Ben Olam Haba. So Yova be Rabbanan Einayan B'Rav Ula bar Abba. When the Rabbanan looked at Rav Ula bar Abba, that he is a model of all of these traits. Now Chazal Irai Vishana. It's only on for an hour and 15 minutes. So, considering it's very hard, Gemara, we're not doing so bad. Chazal Irai Vishana, if he goes back to his city and teaches, Tana Rabbanan Einoi Chayev Ad Sheyase Koirasai, he's only Chayev unless he personally does like his psak, or Sheyoyer Lacherim V'Yase Koirasai, or he teaches others and they do like his psak. So the Gemara says, Bishlam Yor Lachem Yaskerasai. So Meikar La Barkatalu. That's why initially he wouldn't have gotten executed because he didn't do it. He just told other people to do it. But now because there's a din of Zakem Mamre Barkatalu. Elashiyasa Kairasai. But if he did it himself, why do we need the din of Zakem Mamre? If we're talking about a matter of capital offense, then you don't need the Zaken Mamre for him to get executed. He did it because he did a crime. Meikar Nami Barkatalu. Now, okay, if it's a matter of Karas, so there's no execution by Karas. So, or about sleeping with a sister. So there, if it wouldn't be Al Zaken Mamre, there's no execution. The Meikar La Barkatalu. Now he gets executed because he was a Zaken Mamre. But where he passed with Chayve Mises Bezdin, make Kari Nami Bar Katalu. Says the Gemara, it could make an afkamina. If he passed about something where we didn't give him Asra for the Chilul Shabbos that he did according to his opinion, but we give him Asra about being a Zaken Mamre. Meikar Bayasra, Hashta Loy Bayasra. Initially, if it wouldn't be a Zaken Mamre, he needs Asra. But now that he's a Zaken Mamre, even if he did the Chilul Shabbos without Asra, he gets executed if he got Asra about being a rebellious sage. Says Gemara, but what about if it's about inciting other people to idolatry, where you never need asra? Mesis deloy boy asra ma'ikil meima. Meikara, initially, Iyamar Tama, if he wasn't rebelling against the court, if he gave a sensible reason for why he did it, Mekablina Minay, will accept it and not execute him. But Hashta, since he rebelled against the court, Iyamar Tama, even though he has a reason, but since we told him that we have it, and this is the majority of the opinion, we don't accept his reason, and we will execute him. Okay, Rabbi said we're going to stop over here. I just want to see, when are we starting Chelik? When are we starting Chelik? So, we're starting Chelik. Tomorrow is pay test, so Monday we're starting Chelik. That means on Monday we're starting 25 blot of Agarata. What a journey. And it really, everybody should be an ambassador to try to bring other people onto the shir. It's really a great idea.